All right, it's Sage Against the Machine, the political podcast, the most niche one in the world from Onkwehonwe in the boonies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boonies. Not too bad, but kind of bad.
We're out in the bush here.
Where I am.
Push in the bush.
Yeah. You can only get away with this kind of shit in the country.
That is true.
Yeah.
And we're right on the border. Fucking bring it, 51st state, Canada.
You know, I was thinking of flying out of Montreal, but I don't have a passport, and they no longer, back in the day, you could just take your status card, or you could and your tribal card, because you had both, because we're from Onkwehonwe, we have both people. If you're not from here, you might not know that there's an international border and a state and provincial border in our community. But once upon a time, you could just go to the airport. As long as you had the multiple IDs, you were good to go. You could fly states, wherever. Yep. And that is no longer the case.
Definitely not.
And, if Canada becomes a 51st state, that will no longer be a problem for me, because flying out of Montreal is significantly cheaper and closer than flying out of either Burlington or Syracuse. I do like driving to Vermont. It's a nice
Vermont's
ride.
Beauty.
Yeah, Vermont's a good state, you know. Maybe we'll make southern Quebec northern Vermont.
Like Super Troopers too.
Yeah, there we go.
Fucking right. we were wrong where we drew the line.
Yeah. It was kind of funny.
Give us all of your maple.
I had a little tease at, Canadian people. I was in Ottawa recently, and I had to mention, well, the Americans are going to come in. Are you going to fight them? How?
Actually, and I saw Josh's stand up, and everybody claps for Josh. He was really, really funny, and everybody should make him super famous as a comedian, because we need more money for this, and he's willing to be prostituted out as well.
I am. I'll fund the revolution with my serious wit and not my memory, though.
Yeah, well.
Not my memory. My short-term memory, not great.
Well, that's the fun of it. Then you can blame it on the memory, all the fucking wild shit that we do. Woo!
All right.
So anyway, I interrupted about the flying out.
That's okay. The 51st state. I might be on board.
You know what? You see some of the talk, people get that idea that Canadians are just like these totally docile people. And those are people who do not run into Canadians ever.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like Canadian Twitter, if there's such a thing or whatever, they went fucking bananas. They were like, we don't want to be part of the fucking United States. I'm just thinking, I don't blame you. We're from Onkwehonwe. We don't want to be a part of the fucking United States when it's like that. You know what I mean?
No.
But actually, that could kind of lead us into what we were talking about before. The idea of what are you going to do when the arm is put on you?
Yeah.
So we were just kind of laying this out for people. Josh and I were having an interesting discussion on social media with somebody, and this happens all over the place. But basically, it's the idea of these flowery words and the art of seeing who can be the most verbose without really saying anything at all, and just totally denying the reality that we all live in, especially here in Onkwehonwe. And so it's just it's something that's been grinding my gears, and Josh and I were talking about it before, and we're both kind of on the same page with this, and that's one of the reasons why we do this show is we're talking about those things that bother us, but we also see problems. We also offer realistic ideas on how to solve them. And so the people who speak in this way, they're not offering anything up that's of any substance to solve any of the problems. So I just kind of, that's where we're starting off with this when we came in, and Josh can kind of go more into it too.
I mean, yeah, it was. I don't usually engage on social media because I don't think you convince anybody of anything.
No.
Occasionally, I'll have a little extra time on my hands, and I can be a troll.
Yeah,
sometimes.
well,
I mean, I live under a bridge.
I saw you're the reason why I jumped in on that too. And I couldn't help it because it's just it's just so frustrating to see the thing about we need to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
That's true. We do.
Yeah.
We do need to heal ourselves. But strictly going for a condolence or to, have a sweat and expect that that's going to solve everything. That's not going to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't give you any roadmaps to a how. It gives you a lofty idea. It's almost like waiting for a messiah.
Mm-hmm.
It's this lofty idea that someday, but right now we're all colonized, so no matter what we do, it's all screwed. And that's always going to be the case. It's not just we could talk about colonization like it was this one incident, and it's an ongoing process, and it's a kind of it's a word you need to unpack because it happens to everybody. It's not, I have a joke I'm working on where it's like, yeah, really, we're all human beings, and all these things like language and culture and nations and genders and all this stuff just serve to keep us separated from one another,
Mm-hmm.
and that allows us to be exploited by people who like to exploit people.
Who just like to talk and exploit.
Yeah, and that is true. So undeniably true. However, it is what it is. It's going to take time to get there, and we're trying to live the best way that we can. There's a lot of places in the world, in the United States, where you can melt into the pot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we don't want to melt into the pot. Maybe we want to live as Indians, and we're going to take time to unpack what that is, and we're going to grow into it. But there's never going to be a case where we're not influenced.
It's not possible anymore.
And it would be really boring if that was so, because as I've said many times, pozole is better than corn soup.
Yeah.
And I'm going to colonize my soup with some chili peppers.
I agree with that fully. I love corn soup, but yeah. A nice mole, or it's tastier.
Yeah, and the functional roads are pretty nifty.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I've been to Quebec where they are less functional, and
Holy
you
fuck.
notice it.
I'm not going there. I'm never driving there again. But anyway, I don't want to stop you. You're going good.
I don't know. So I had a lot of thoughts in the moment because it began with a comment about the clan system. And it's people have this dogmatic view. This is the Mohawks, and there's a line, and there's the Oneidas, and there's a line, and this is the Onondagas. There's a line, and we have all this control. It's like, dude, nothing could possibly be that hard lined. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, borders and nations really don't exist.
Yeah, it's kind of run-ons.
Yeah, they're a pretty new concept. Even the idea of the nation state is rather new in humanity.
Yeah, because before it was monarchies and
kingdoms and aristocracies and all that, and borders
empires,
shifted,
all that shit.
And the people lived where they lived, and they always lived where they lived. And most countries had hundreds and hundreds of languages, just like we do.
Yeah,
and
dozens of dialects.
Yeah. In Italy, by the 50s, only 20% of the people spoke what we call Italian today.
No shit. I didn't
know. They have done a lot of work to destroy the health and the wealthy heritage they have, to consolidate them all into the dominant language of the people who won.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh shit. I didn't know
that was an interesting fact I learned on the internet that may or may not be true.
Yeah, well.
Like all of our facts, we don't know.
Well, anyway, P2. Everybody learn about that. P2 Lodge.
It does make sense. What's P2 Lodge?
It's a Masonic thing. I don't want. We can go at it after. Yeah,
someone's got tinfoil under his hat.
I might be a little gray, but I don't have tinfoil. God damn it. Anyway, so sorry.
So I see that dogmatic view, and it's funny because we're as traditional people, I guess, on the spectrum. In a couple ways, but on the spectrum of
functional dysfunction.
Yeah, on the spectrum of traditionalism, we love to throw rocks at each other. Who does and does not belong? And to me, it's impractical. This current comment was about, so Akwesasne, for those who don't know, are composed of wolf, bear, turtle, snipe, deer as their dominant clans. They also have a smattering of other clans, a lot of eels.
Snipe and deer.
Yeah, the eels were actually Micmacs. There's a very neat story of a lady who ran away from residential school and started a big old family here. It's a really neat story, and I would like one of their family members to tell it.
We should see if they would come on.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So, in any case, Akwesasne has been a melting pot from the beginning. And it has me thinking a lot about what we call traditional. My friend Mike Galvin said, tradition is something you've done twice.
That's pretty good. I like that.
He says Akwesasne has been Catholic for like 400 years.
Which is true.
At what point
dominant.
At what point does it count as a tradition?
Yep.
And that kind of threw me a little bit because it's kind of true.
It's fair to say.
But what the part you unpack is, well, which parts of Catholicism are neat and which are created residential schools and hide bodies and rape children and hide pedophiles and multinational corporation.
And do you want to judge a faith of billions of people on what I would say is certainly a small minority?
I would, because it's in the leadership, and I think like a bad corporation should be dismantled.
Okay,
and become smaller, less.
And I get that, but it's also the thing of, like the people who are there, the followers of it, they don't have anything to do with that leadership structure. Anyway,
and that's part of that's part of the downfall of Catholicism. Why doesn't it fit with Guyana Lagoa? Because you're submitting your rule to the clergy and ultimately to the Pope.
So you almost see it as in Catholicism, you're giving up your free will almost?
Yeah. You're giving up your agency and your license.
Which is completely in direct contrast with
Yeah.
Guyana Lagoa. Or at least the principles that we're supposed to be upholding with Guyana Lagoa.
Whereas if you were a Protestant, you would interpret the Lord's word yourself. So I could see I see how you can make that leap.
Sure.
I don't know if people are thinking about it that much, or if they just grew up this way and that's it.
Probably not, but I mean, you're more of a philosophical mind.
I was going with that though was the original founding of Onkwehonwe was all these clans, and we're still here. And to say one doesn't have a voice or more of a voice than another is complete and utter horseshit. And if you try to implement that in real time, well, your shit's gonna catch on fire.
Yeah, and let's so basically, I mean, it was made aware to me recently that we are gaining new listeners, and many of them are not from Onkwehonwe. Many of them are not native. So Josh is better to explain this than I, but why don't we just give them a quick breakdown of the clan system, how it works, and what it is in Onkwehonwe.
Well, once upon a time, everything was perfect and awesome, and there was no war or disease, and people lived long, long times, and they could fly. It was really cool.
Don't do it. You're gonna make people think this is some Indian fantasy.
I mean, it might be.
It could. Well, I don't know. I've not seen any. Anyway.
In any case, long ago we organized our families based on symbolic clans, and we follow the matrilineal descent. I believe they call it matrilocal. We trace our families through the women's lines, which makes a lot of sense when your men migrate
and kill each other.
Sometimes they kill each other. We have a great law of peace. There was no war after that.
Yes.
Everything was peachy and rosy.
There was once those weapons were buried, we never had another fucking conflict.
There was definitely not a Seneca village called Head on Pole.
Yes. That is not something that happened.
So we continue to follow this, although it's been damaged a lot by colonization, because the European and the Western European and the Middle Eastern ways tend to be patriarchal, from a patriarchy. We're not that way, so that was pushed on us in a lot of ways. I'm sure many dudes liked it. I've heard very misogynist statements come out of family members' mouths before.
As have I.
However, that family member still went to New York City, got home, and gave all his money to his wife, who handled the business of the home.
Shit, man, I've been there before.
So that's not that much different from dudes going out hunting and coming back. And
here, you take the meat.
Yeah.
We dressed it. No, we'll fuck it up.
Yeah. So we continue to have these clan systems, and we harken back to them when we talk about decision making. We talk about citizenship and identity. Who is native, who is Onkwehonwe, to what percentage of your genome has to come from the original seed.
Yep.
And what percentage is
does blood quantum matter? Does it not matter? Were you born with a clan? Were you born without a clan? Were you adopted? Not adopted? This is what we're dealing with in Onkwehonwe.
It matters less the darker your skin is.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you're dark, I mean, look at my poor fucking face. Like I'm a half breed, but my mom is white. I was born without a clan. But I was married in the longhouse, and that's where I get my clan from. When I was married, the turtles took me in, and that went through the whole house. The ceremony was done. So technically I'm a turtle, but this is just a little bit of an example to kind of give the audience a little bit more insight into how complicated this can actually be.
Yeah, and then on top of it, there's historical examples that don't fit our dogma. And that's this part of what my comment was about, was people are following this sort of dogmatic view of the clan system that they heard in fourth grade. And, they read in a book, and that must be the way it is, or they were told by somebody that's old that this is the way it is, and they can't think outside that, and they can't see the limiting factor on that. Like,
right.
Of course, I think long ago villages had a lot more autonomy.
Absolutely.
Than our minds are so wrapped up in the idea of the hierarchical state.
A centralized state.
Yes, that we have a very difficult time wrapping our mind around something a lot more anarchical.
Mm-hmm. I would think, and again, like I'll try to give a little more context to when we're doing this, but I would kind of think of it as like when we think about snai,
mm-hmm.
that's where a lot of snipe, deer, eel,
and there's reasons for it,
and there are reasons, the from the people in Oswegatchie when the Americans finally fucking forced them out, and
sold it.
Whatever. Let's not start pushing down on K-Town already.
We gotta still be mad about it. It was 300 years ago.
Yeah, well, I know. But
this is the way.
Anyway, they came here and they went to Snai, which in our community it's one of the districts within our territory, and it's technically on the Canadian Quebec side. And so that's where a lot of the deer, snipe, and eel ended up in our territory. And when you were saying like the autonomy of like villages of their own, even today, Snai is unto itself almost.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. Like they do their stuff.
Right.
And so, but that's what bothered me about this particular thing was that, the comment did come off as seeming like if you're not wolf, deer, or turtle, then you're not Akwesaslono and you have no voice here, which that's fucking absurd.
And on top of it, if we're following historicity, many of those wolf, bears, and turtles were also along because those clans existed in Onondaga as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are you going to do?
Yeah. It just seems silly to me to think that if you don't subscribe, if you don't meet this rigid qualification of, well, it can only be by the clan, so then you're totally wiping out any sort of even lineage connection to our nation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it just seems absurd to me. And so when you do that, naturally people who are snipe, deer, eel who their families have been here for well over 200 years, probably longer, some of them.
Yeah.
And now we have a bad enough time with being trampled upon by the outside. And Josh was right. We love to do this shit to ourselves. It just does not make sense to me why we do this. And I'm not saying I'm perfect and I've never done that kind of stuff before. But as a strategy going forward, I would suggest that we don't do these things. We need to have everybody in our longhouse, like metaphorically speaking, I guess. But seriously, everybody to be together in one. And while that sounds hippie-ish and I don't have the fucking hair for it, I still do, I do believe in that, because how are you going to tell people whose families have been here for hundreds of years that because they don't have this clan, that essentially you're tossing them outside and that they don't have a voice? And I would actually respect these people more if they just came out and fucking said that.
Yeah.
Like if they just came out and said, look, if you're a snipe or you're a deer or you're an eel or whatever, then just shut up. You don't have any reason to speak on the affairs of Akwesasne. At least just come out and say that.
Yeah.
I would respect that.
Not me. I beat them up.
Well, I'm saying exactly. Good. Then let's get it on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
heck with this peace stuff.
yeah, you're a snipe, right?
I'm definitely a snipe.
There, and like, it's absurd to say that you shouldn't have any fucking voice here. You know what I mean? Because as far as I'm concerned, you were born with a clan,
And I'm very loud.
and you're very loud. We're both very loud here. This is the loud show. But you were born with a clan. I was born without a clan. I was born here, and we had to leave when I was about 4, and for reasons, wait till I finish my movie script. And my father was a badass. But anyway, yeah, it's just like, I got my clan through marriage, through ceremony that was assented to by the people, which is actually gonna go. That's the process. But to suggest that because I got my clan through marriage and I'm a turtle, but Josh was born with his clan and somehow he would have no voice and he grew up here, his mother their family is from here, that's absurd. It got me fired up a bit.
Yeah, well, I didn't have anything to do at the moment, so I saw a conversation on Facebook. I thought, ooh, I'll throw a grenade.
Yeah.
And it's a good conversation to have because I feel like, I think it's a psychological thing, really. It's people, people have you notice a lot of the people that are very vocal that way are very hardcore, also have a very hard life and probably have made poor choices.
Sure.
And I think it's a way of the ego to express itself, to be like, elevates me. The crabs in the bucket syndrome kind of thing going on there.
It does feel like that, right?
It is that way. I mean,
am I the only one who finds that kind of sad too?
Well, to me, it just limits your influence and power if your idea is like, we had a meeting at the Longhouse recently, and one of the things I was talking to a couple friends of mine that live in Six Nations, and one of the things I was trying to explain is like, or not explain, but delve into is why traditional ways. We have to give people a why because they have choice now. They don't have to. This is the harder choice. Mm-hmm. What are we offering?
Right.
What are we offering behind dipshits
we're offering alienation and calling
dipshits
people
who
down.
are psychologically damaged? And
yeah. I mean, that's true. You're right. It is. And look.
I will offer a comparison, by the way.
Let's hear it.
So recently, my mother, she does a lot of work with the Acquisition Freedom School. Mm-hmm. And she went to a tribal meeting because the tribe has given them significant money.
Sure.
And, people might say this, that, or the other thing, but if you're not giving them money, shut the fuck up.
For real.
And on top of it all, the Freedom School has been used as a beacon by all the councils all the time because it's a very unique institution that really doesn't exist in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist in places you would think it was, places that, tout their sovereignty, yet they send their children to public school that's run by the government. So the Acquisition Freedom School is building a new building. And so they had to go to a tribal meeting and talk about it. And a younger person, 20s, that ostensibly is traditional, made a comment about how Freedom School students sometimes need remedial reading or they have to repeat a grade. And, they often levy criticisms on Freedom School students because they're not where the other students are in the curriculum of the government school system that's made and created by government committees at the federal level.
At the detriment of our children learning about themselves and their history and culture.
A system that goes back to the Prussian Volksschule, a system built in order to assimilate mass numbers of originally Irish and Italian Catholic immigrants who the waspy Protestants didn't want their popery infecting the people. That's old school shit too. Yep. But it's still that's the roots of the system. A lot of the roots of our systems go back 100, 150 years. The things we do today, we don't know why we do them. That's why it's a little important to know some of your history. And then you can cast it aside and say, yeah, this is dumb.
So let's not do this
Let's
anymore.
not do this. So it was interesting to hear those same arguments from someone who, younger and traditional, but might not know that the Freedom School was born in a gun battle against the New York State Police.
Yeah, I bet that they would not know that.
That our hippy dippy little school was like created so the New York State social services wouldn't take the kids away from the people who were down at the blockades.
You're talking about the 79 one.
Yes,
right?
and Racket.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to do something about that one.
I would love to get someone who was there on here to tell about it.
I know exactly who to get.
I know a couple. I know at least two. One who was a kid at the time.
You know what, too? I have a connection with one of someone who knows one of the lawyers.
The instigators?
No. Well, yes, I know a bunch of those. But no, anyway, on the legal side of it from the outside. But we can figure that out.
So
tease.
So that's another example of like, oh, we're going to drag down our institutions. And we're going to drag down. And personally, I try to be cognizant of this because I do it too sometimes. It's easy to get mad and be like,
sure.
But the other thing is the why. So back to the why, functioning in public schools, those kids don't like it.
Right.
And it's not happy. I don't know. I don't think it's effective. We can say, oh, we have all these stats. You make the criteria for the stats. How many of those?
Israel investigating itself.
Yeah. Like you are telling us what success means. Success means you have to be this, you have to have this much money. You have this kind of job. This is what happiness means. The pursuit of desire and wealth and the never ending consumer treadmill. I don't know, man. Because when I go to comedy clubs guess what? Comedy clubs are mostly full of white people. Mm-hmm. It's Ottawa, Ontario. There's like mostly white people from Ottawa or who have moved to Ottawa, many of whom work in the government sector because it's Ottawa. And then there's, a smattering of browns. Yeah.
I just like the way you said it.
Yeah.
Browns.
Typically they're eating curry or shawarma. They got tum on their food or they got curry on their food. And I like them people.
Fucking right.
And there's a few natives. Shout out. I got Janelle Niles out there.
City Scones?
Well, no, not originally, but they've moved there for comedy. And our pal Hezron Mukpalu. And he's from. You can hear what his name.
That's a nice name.
That's
a dope name.
Yeah, that's a eating seals kind of name.
Fucking right. That's dope.
Yeah. So I hear how unhappy the white people are. They tell about the different drugs they're on just so they can function when they're not drunk.
Yeah.
And the widespread. It seems like white people have a problem with alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody ever noticed that. But it's endemic. It's like everywhere. It's like if you don't drink, you're weird.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. If you don't have that martini when you get home at 5:00, you're a weirdo.
So, and it's not to put them down. I think, they've all been colonized people too. And there's probably a part of their soul that sees that. And that's why they get attracted to Eastern philosophy and native stuff. I'm not going to talk about pretendians that much today just because I have a guest coming that wants to talk about that too.
Okay.
I'm more worried about pretend whites myself.
Well, wouldn't you rather go like the Apple route on that one?
It's the ones who make decisions but still kind of deep down hate being an Indian.
Am I being too harsh or
no?
Because explain what an apple is to everybody.
Oh, it's only red on the outside.
Yeah, red on the outside, white on the inside.
Unless it's a green apple.
Yeah, that's an alien. Not the kind that go across the river. Right?
No, they get stuck in the bush.
Too soon.
No, I didn't carry them over on my boat yet. Just wait till that 25% tariff kicks in.
Yeah, for real. We're gonna have a big upshot in traffic.
So the why is to create a microcosm where we can do our own thing, and that's the why for me, where we can establish our own way and we can keep those other ways, the parts that don't work.
Yeah.
The parts that make people unhappy, things like bureaucracy, things like the never-ending desire. So, and that's the philosophical part. That's why I'm also attracted to things like mindfulness and yoga because they give you a how. It's cool to have a goal, or cool to have a vision of, the promised land, but how do you get there? And for me, one part of that to get to the good mind, Kanikulio, one of the cornerstones of Guyana Lagoa is the good mind, is our practices like mindfulness and yoga and exercise. I like how fitness seems to work for a lot of people. It gets them started. Yeah. Our pal there is going to take his Ozempic and quit his smoking cigarettes.
I've been taking it.
Quit his smoking cigarettes. And
that's not happening yet.
Going to hit the gym.
Yeah.
Going to be powerlifting.
I kind of miss that, actually.
And do it. So that's my little sermon for the moment.
Well, no, but that's why, I mean, this whole, and I know I came in pretty hot with all of this, but it.
Well, you wrote a lot more words than I did.
Yeah, well, Josh, I moved the camera.
Oh, did you? Just fix it. Just twist it.
There we go. Yeah, Josh, I sent him screenshots of my responses, and he said that it was basically a contest in verbosity. And because, I mean, obviously I like to talk and I like to write, and it goes long. But it kind of fired me up, because it does seem to me like, and again, I mean, it's, a part of it is, I guess being born without a clan, seeing that kind of talk, just, and like me instinctually knowing not just that it's not helpful for us, but also knowing that it's not practical also. And it also does, like, on a personal level, it does. Like, I'll admit that. On a personal level, I can feel that twinge of hurt when, other people who are of those clans responded to some of this stuff. And I could understand that. I totally understood that. And because I would have, sometimes I have the same feeling about that, because I got my clan through marriage, through a ceremony at our longhouse. And so I could feel what those, I could understand what those people were feeling, because it's always this, and we tend to do this a lot as Native people, is to be exclusionary. For what reason? I don't understand.
Probably because one time we welcomed a bunch of missionaries into our village and all hell broke loose.
Well, that's fine, but I mean, still, it's
that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, but I mean, we're still looking at our own people. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
it's like, to continue to do that. That's also, I mean, we're pushing down again. And I don't understand why that becomes something that's desirable, because we don't have any. That's really not what. And my meager understanding, and I do study this stuff, I've been taught, but I would never claim to be an expert in Guyana Lagoa, but all of that stuff would disrupt the peace. And ultimately, that's what we're supposed to be after. And so to do those kinds of things is just, you're actively disrupting the peace. And I don't see how that helps. You're hurting people. And it seems to me like, I honestly feel like some of these people, they want to do that,
I think so. It's like a hurt people type.
That's exactly what I was just, fuck, we're right here.
Ooh.
We are right here,
Ooh,
buddy.
we both read memes.
Ooh. I'll do my old dirty.
Yeah.
Whoa. Sing it, daddy.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, I think that's exactly it. That's where I start. I used to once upon a time write books as well. And I've given it up. Number one, it was a giant waste of time. Nobody's ever convinced of anything on social media ever. Mm-hmm. Unless it's a meme.
Yeah, I know.
Then they believe it.
How the fuck do memes win? These idiots from 4chan win.
There's a dark genius behind there.
Actually, they're kind of like, yeah. I do find some of it pretty fucking funny. Actually.
Yeah, but then also I've learned enough about, psychology and, empathy and emotions to kind of be able to suss out what's going on with the person. And, I feel, a little bit of empathy for them, a little bit, this much right here.
Yeah. Well,
but then it's like, this isn't a reasonable person.
There you go. Yep.
Their mind is on the ground. They have snakes in their hair. There's no, you're in this format, in this forum, you're not even actually connecting. You're talking at each other.
Yes.
And so my comments are kind of so the wider world sees it and it's like, okay, yeah. Because that person, you're not really talking to them.
Yeah.
You're talking at them.
Yeah.
And then two people write a book at each other.
You can stop fucking saying that. I know I do it. Well, that's but see, that's kind of that's the yin and yang with you and me, I guess, a little bit, is because you understand that, you do, and I can pick that up eventually, but in the moment, I'm just like, let's, you know what I mean? Like, let's fucking long verse this out, you know what I mean? And that's something that, I think in the end, you saw my comments eventually. Like I caught up to myself and then brought it back. But ultimately the thing is like, yeah, okay. That's I think a big part, like we're speaking about like kind of Lagoa too. I think that's a big part of the reason why, don't just respond. You really need to sit with it.
Yeah.
And
take
then
a breath.
think and then do it, because like, yeah, I'm still heated up about this. And I do think that person I do think that some of them, they wanted to hurt these people, and that's okay in the sense of like, that I realized that's what they were doing, but I responded too quickly. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's more that thing of, okay, I don't like what they did, but I'm more thoughtful in how, more, I've analyzed it more, and I can understand because that's the thing, when you take time to really think about it, analyze it, when you actually understand where that person is coming from, not just their words, but try to suss out, you know what I mean, what their mindset is. That's where, I fell short. And so like at this point, yeah, that stuff really does bother me, but I also do get more of why they were like that.
Yeah. And for myself, I disengaged pretty quickly.
I'll never quit.
I was once that guy.
Yeah.
I would argue a point until no more. It's just not worth the stress of it all. And
Stomach acid.
It stops being rational. It stops being the good mind, and it starts being, I want to be right. I want to be right, and I want everybody to recognize that I am right. And that urge still exists. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you saw my comedy bit. My end bit was about that, wanting to be right.
Yep.
And, in a previous life, some of these people have behavioral patterns that I recognize, that I lived with for many years. And I could pick them out in a text block. So,
and you did.
Oh, I did privately.
Yeah, you and I. Yeah,
to you, I was
definitely.
I was just like circling the flags.
It was. I mean, like that was when I really started to tell myself, I'm like, hold on, just take a step back here and like think a little more.
This is grandiosity.
Yep.
This is narcissism.
Yep.
This is ego. This is me trying to change the subject.
See, Josh doesn't have to spell it out in crayons for me anymore. Like usually he can kind of nudge me a little bit, and then I start picking it up.
But you'll notice a lot of those conversations, though, when people don't want to stick to the point, they will change the point.
Which happened multiple times.
And that's a red flag in human beings. People think they're being smart when they do that. They think they're being empathetic when they apologize for your feelings. That's a big giant red flag when anybody ever does that. Like, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yep.
That's a non-statement.
That is a bunch of horse shit.
That's a giant red flag.
Yep.
So always keep that, like, that's, to me, that's like, recognize those things just so oh, this isn't someone you can really communicate with at this moment. And maybe later you can, but at this moment you can't, because maybe they want to be right.
Well, I mean most people do, and I'm certainly guilty of that. I like to be correct, but I know when I'm not, and I'll admit it. I will. I mean, but that was the whole, that was kind of the impetus for the way that we started this off, and I think it's a good way for people to kind of get a glimpse at, Akwesasne, but, for people who aren't native or from here, just to get the idea of like, we're not these mythical creatures. You know what I mean? We're humans. And
Why, you can't sing to raccoons don't talk to you?
motherfucker, I could talk to trees if I really want.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're not gonna fucking start pumping me full of fucking Thorazine or something. But anyway, I mean, oh man, how cool would it be if there were really ants?
You know what? At that meeting at the Longhouse, they had a schedule, and I didn't care. And I wanted to make a comment, and it was a good comment. And they were like, we have a schedule, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
So, because I'm a free human being, and I'm not afraid to like be chaotic too.
You know what? That's actually like, I gotta stop portraying you like you're fucking Swami or some shit.
Yeah.
You're not perfect either, buddy.
Oh no, I love breaking rules.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes I even steal.
That's you're one of those guys who will take a dime candy. Actually, are there dime candies anymore?
Not anymore.
Yeah, probably
They're
not.
like $1. So yeah, because inflation, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, we can do that too.
I
could pretend I'm an economist.
So I said my piece, and I thought about it afterwards, because you're always smarter afterwards.
Sure.
It's a physiological, psychological thing. Because whenever you stand up, you're nervous, no matter who you are. You could be a pro. You could be Joe Rogan. That when he walks on stage, he's getting a charge. That's why he still does stand-up comedy.
Absolutely.
So my point was, I should have said, hey, this message is from the creator.
Jesus Christ.
Because why not? Like, y'all are so pious here. How do you know? How do you know the wind's not talking to me?
True.
How do you know a crow didn't just whisper in my ear, hey, say this to these people?
It's possible. We've had prophets before.
I mean, I've had it. So I used to give teachings and talks.
Or so-called prophets.
So-called prophets. I think there's a real deal out there. I've met the real deal. I'm reading a book by Ram Dass, by the way.
Fucking A.
So, yeah, that's how hippie I'm going. But anyways, Jesus. Ram Dass is talking about how his guru reflected love. And it was like when you love someone, but it's for everything. Mm-hmm. And I could vibe with it a little bit. I've gone to that place before, like meditating or really high on mushrooms. And yeah, and like I feel like I've met people who are kind of like that, dude. So if you don't, Tom Porter is kind of like that. Not all the time. He's not a guru, right? It's not. He just reflects this open and warmth. Okay. And there's people like that. Okay. So, anyways, it made me think about Gaina Lagoa. It made me think about, Ayawata and all those guys. Right. And, some are probably that way. Yeah. And
I have no doubt that Ayawata was.
Yeah, and cultivating the good mind is cultivating more of that.
He was the first one.
And so when the Buddhists and the Zens and the monks, they talk about nirvana and being a Buddha, we're kind of saying something similar when you're reaching for Gaina Lagoa. Mm-hmm. And that's the hippie thought I had.
I can see that connection.
And I read that, and then I threw grenades on Facebook.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to let I do it to myself. I build you up to be, and then cut myself down. Fuck this guy. He's nothing. But yeah, I mean, it really is though. It's like you can make you do help me reflect upon things. You know what I mean? Think about it more. And I kind of wish that everybody would do it, which is obviously not going to happen. But overall in the whole like scene of what we're going through and all that shit, I just don't, it's like we're never going to really progress to the point we need to get to if we keep doing those things to each other. And I know, and that, like what I just said, that's really a bunch of, it's just this flowery shit. But that's exactly the kind of stuff that we hear people say. And it's like, what are you afraid of to get into a real discussion?
Well, yeah, if you don't agree on something, it's as if we have to agree on everything. Yeah. And we don't. We can discuss stuff and have disagreements. We have disagreements in politics. It doesn't really matter. If you can understand each other's point of view.
Even you and I disagree on shit.
Yeah. I mean, you're wrong about a bunch of stuff.
Fuck, you're constantly wrong. I have to correct this guy all the time. He said he was a Jim Jones fan.
Yeah.
Hey, what the fuck?
Hey, he was a great guy right up until he wasn't.
Hey, we still got to get you your commune. We're working on that, people.
But flowery language is pretty. It is. And to say people are this, that. But the caveat is if it's, well, they'll never be right until X.
And X can never happen because you can never make those other things
a
reality.
Yeah, it's
not
a
possible.
goalpost that just moves.
It's never going to be attainable. It's Lucy with the fucking football.
Yeah, exactly. And it becomes kind of empty because then you're not giving a roadmap of anything. You know, our roadmap is hard work, struggle, do without, see what you really need, meditate.
But why?
Why? Because, you know, if you're just white and live in a suburb, it's boring.
Well, sure, but I just mean, you know, in the larger concept.
Yeah,
you know,
the larger concept is to, you know, have people that have a peaceful community that's loving, and families that are loving and help each other, and maybe there's a little less struggle in this world because we work together a little more. I'm not saying pure communism because I don't think that works. I still like the free market.
Yeah, I'm not a total communist, but
I'm still an anarcho free marketeerish guy.
I'm still a socialist in many respects. But I do give you that one. I do acknowledge that I don't know how pure socialism works without fucking everything up eventually.
Without a giant bureaucracy that eventually takes over because it gets full of chuds who have nothing better to do.
Yeah. Derp.
And they all know better than you do because they're a bureaucracy who are never wrong and always get everything right.
Which is kind of what we were seeing in that discussion online. You know, and that's what's funny about it in a way. I mean, it's, you know, like that flowery language and all that shit. It's like and you saw somebody specifically asked me on there because I was saying, what I said was at one point, these are like flowery things to say, but we need to be specific and lay out actual ideas and goals. And so this person, I'm pretty sure they thought they were going to dunk on me by asking, you know, saying, well, we can have a conversation about that. So then I laid out a detailed thing of where I was going with that.
Yeah.
And then it became like a kind of a, like, well, there's nothing for them to try to be talking shit about anymore. And that's the kind of stuff where, like, I will fully admit, I smiled when I saw that, but also it was also like, well, why would you stop? Like, we just had something that ended up being productive because I gave actual concrete, like fully formed thoughts on this, you know, one particular thing. So why couldn't we continue that discussion? And that's why I agree with you that I think that online, it's not usually the right place to do that.
Well, no, and I think there's reasons for it too. One of the reasons is I believe when you write, you can get damage to your brain and still be able to write and not be able to speak, and vice versa. That's happened. So the communication centers of your brain between writing and speaking are different.
Yeah.
So that's often, but you have more control over your speaking because you're used to it.
Right.
Writing, you don't learn until you're 5-6 years old. Some later. 3 years old. Oh my gosh.
That's why I'm so verbose.
I read The Hobbit when I was 9.
Actually, I couldn't. I don't know. I didn't read The Hobbit. Like, I tried reading it when I was 9, and I couldn't quite get into it, and then I read it when I was 12.
I was reading Stephen King books at 11. That's why I'm nuts.
Fucking right. That's it. Yep, me too, buddy. Yep.
So in any case,
we're smart.
I do believe that when you write, it's a closer connection to your ego and to your inner self. And that's what writers will say. Often, I don't know what I wrote. Like, it just kind of came out.
Dude.
For me, when I used to teach and when I give a talk and I get in the zone, man, I don't know what I said. Like, it just comes out, man. It's like somebody else is talking.
Yep.
And I've heard writers explain that. Well, I suspect that what you're reading often online are people's actual inner lives. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's horrendous, because they're used to like hiding that.
Yep.
And online they don't. And then you get points if you're funny enough with your inner damage.
Yeah.
So I suspect that's why social media is such a
Let's do a dunk contest on who's more fucked up.
yeah. Well, I don't win. That conversation I was having, I don't win.
No, neither would I if I got fully exposed. No, but yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and it's true.
I do think also that's why TikTok is so dangerous to the status quo. It's not text.
No.
It's voice. It's music.
Yep.
It's people like talking to each other in this strange. We're all watching different conversations between people.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, the TikTok algorithm has captured that better than the alternatives. You know,
I don't use them much, but the stuff you've showed me is pretty cool.
Yeah. So Instagram, everybody played catch up. Instagram has Reels, and now YouTube has Shorts, and I don't really use
Snapchat does.
They do something similar. Yeah. I don't
use Snapchat either. I'm old.
But I suspect that for whatever reason, TikTok has really captured that thing, and I think that's why the government really wants to shut it down.
Yep.
I think it's one part U.S. companies lobbying to cancel a competitor, because I don't think it has really anything to do with Chinese.
I don't either.
Programming.
I mean, the stuff that I read, and look, okay, I don't buy a lot of the stuff that gets pumped.
I'm not afraid of China at all.
I'm not afraid of China at all either. Why would I be? So when I read stuff about ByteDance and all of that, like the Chinese algorithm, and it's poisoning children's minds, and it's the CCP who runs it all.
It's the Satanists.
Yeah, like the shit that I read, it didn't seem like that at all. Now, am I saying that the CCP doesn't have any influence over ByteDance and TikTok and all that? Of course they do.
They have some.
Of course they do.
They have influence over a lot of stuff. They own tons of land in the U.S.
Yeah, Jesus, give me a fucking break.
But doesn't Facebook. So doesn't the United States. Which country? Yeah, someone recently posted something about I didn't need China to be convinced that billionaires are trying to kill us. And I said, well, wait a minute here. Remember how China invaded all those countries and overthrew all their governments and set up client state? Wait, that was a different guy. That wasn't the Chinese. That was somebody else.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah. That was Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Although Winston Churchill is probably a close second.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Who do you think's worse, Uncle Sam or Winston Churchill? Those are metaphors, by the way, people.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? If we were gonna compare, I don't know. I'd have to
think today, Uncle
today,
Sam. Today,
the U.S. is worse.
Yeah, today. 100 years ago. What year? 24.
Little over 100. 100 years ago, 150 years ago.
100 years ago, we could have still reeled in Uncle Sam.
Yeah, that's not happening anymore.
No,
there's no shot.
No, there's going to be a disintegration from the inside, or the aliens are real.
Yeah, hey man, I think the aliens are real.
Or the nukes fly.
Yeah, we're very, very close to that.
I hope not.
I'm not being hyperbolic either.
Yeah.
I encourage all of you out there to check out Colonel McGregor and Danny Haifong, Scott Ritter. But
have you ever looked at the nuke maps for us?
I don't want to.
The only big target's the dam.
Yeah, I know.
But it's not a primary target.
Actually, I think it is now.
Is it?
I believe because of how much traffic, for goods and shit, goes through the seaway. I think so. And plus, it's a major power source for the dam, or the dam is a major power source for New York City and Montreal, too. Provided
Russia's nukes even work.
They do.
I mean, their army didn't work that great.
Dude, they're killing... Why do you believe this shit that they're not winning in Ukraine?
Well, yeah, they're winning. They were supposed to win in 3 days. It's 2 years later.
They're not even pressing hard. They're really not pressing that hard.
I think they're running out of people.
No, they can't run. They ain't gonna run out of people.
They're gonna run out of people in the next 100 years.
You know what? The only way that Ukraine could even hope to pull this off now, which is why I'm so worried about nuclear war, is the only way that they could actually even hope to sustain this for a couple more years would be for NATO to get in.
Yeah.
Legit NATO. and then that would lead to U.S. forces, and then it's pretty much everything.
So okay, so Russia wins. The next country over is Poland.
They're not going to do that. See, you're not afraid of the Chinese, but you're afraid of the Russians.
Not really.
Well, okay.
But they do have the legit nukes. We know what they have. Russia.
Chinese?
Russia.
Oh, Russia? Yeah, fucking right.
I think China at most will take Taiwan, which was part of their country at one point. So
true. I mean, that's the whole, actually you could kind of loop this all around back into, that idea of like what was once ours, it's always ours, And so like we're doing it here. You know? I mean, that's the thing is why I just, the whole alienation thing, it just fucking bugs me. And I don't, like, I honestly, I reflected on that interaction that I had with that person. And, you said when you're writing, and me being a writer, that is true. When I get going on a roll, there are times literally it's like, it's just coming out. It's just coming out.
Yeah.
Like the story that got published, that started out as 6,000 words.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, that was just me fucking, here we go.
Yeah.
There it is. And so I do think that that's true. I think that when you're writing, it's truly an extension of what's going on in your mind. That's why I tell people when I'm writing, like when I would do entertainment binge and stuff,
right?
That really is my inner voice. That's me talking to you, like that truly is. Mm-hmm. And so, but I reflected on it a little more, and I did think, and I think it was reasonable. Like I asked that person to be a guest on this show because I wanted to afford the ability for them to disagree with me wholeheartedly, agree with you, disagree with me, agree with whatever, all of it.
Flesh out their ideas.
But to flesh it out.
Yeah.
Like, let's really do it and not just keyboarding it over fucking Facebook. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because what you and I are doing, when we have our guests on, that's really where things can happen. That's where the progress can actually happen.
Yeah.
And when someone's not willing, which that person was not willing to do that, I'll be fully honest. I look at them a little less, with a little less respect, I guess.
Yeah.
Because this is the place. Like, let's talk about it. We don't have to agree.
Right. And you got to be willing to be wrong or let yourself look stupid.
I've done it plenty of times.
I don't know anything about Ukraine. I watch like War something on
War Monitor.
I don't know.
Oh no, War Monitor is
it's
good.
the bald British guy with the mustache.
Oh no, fuck that dude.
And I like the guy that used to be on. I don't remember any of these people's names.
See, I got into the Ukraine stuff, especially after Russia. And by the way, I do agree. Like everybody who's gonna fucking shit on me for this, I'm not saying it was cool that Russia invaded Ukraine like that. I think it's cool how Ukraine
fought them off.
Well, but that's the fuck off. They did not. But
no.
I mean, they kind of made it. The corporate media made it seem that way, but that's not really.
I don't know. I saw a lot of videos on Reddit of people getting bombed.
You'll go to Telegram.
Yeah.
Go to Telegram and look.
Dude, that's so right wing.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just think it's I just think it's real people who are filming shit in Gaza and in Lebanon and all over in Ukraine, Russia, all of it. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's just the shit we get fed.
The drones are cool.
They are pretty cool. Did you see the video of that Oreshnik, that Russian missile, the new one? They showed off a couple times.
Oh, the hyper missile there? It just looks like a laser coming down from the ground.
And then,
yeah.
That shit was wild.
Yeah.
First time I saw that, like I kept fucking rewind.
No, I
fucked.
Somehow my feed is messed up. I've been just watching Delta Force videos.
Like legit Delta Force or like the movie Lee Marvin?
Legit Delta Force.
That's an old school reference right there, everybody. It's Lee Marvin, right? Lee Marvin and
Chuck Norris.
Is it Lee Marvin with him?
I don't know.
Is that Delta Force or is that the other one? Fuck, I don't remember now.
Delta Force.
I think it's Lee Marvin.
At this point, that movie's so old, it's not even the first thing that comes up on Google.
For real?
Yeah.
That's a goddamn shame.
No, the first thing that comes up now is a bunch of video games and actual Delta Force because, like, now they're on the internet.
You
the
know what?
actual Delta Force.
You're gonna have to send me some links to the real Delta Force videos because I like that kind of shit.
I was watching the one with the sheriff of Baghdad.
Oh,
Dude, that dude is scary.
yeah. I've seen him do interviews and stuff. He does not fucking care.
Yeah. Chuck Norris, Liam Neeson, Lee Marvin, you got it.
It is Lee Marvin. Okay.
Robert Forster as Abdul.
Oh yeah.
Man, they've been making Arab people look so bad for so long.
I know, right?
I'm working on a joke where it's like, white people really hate Arabs, and I don't quite get it. Do they just is their food just too spicy or what?
Oh man!
Like, did one guy get diarrhea in the Middle East, and that's just Lord Rothschild got the shits, and that was over for everybody?
Holy shit! That fucking that reel you sent me.
Oh yeah.
And that letter from Lord Rothschild.
That's real.
Holy fuck! I didn't know that part before.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
we,
man.
We should get our...
the Brits just giving away people's land. You know they did that for us too, right?
Yeah.
There's probably a document out there that's like, yeah, these stupid people are here, but you own it now.
I know PJ is pretty convinced that in Paris that there are probably some crazy documents with the French.
Oh yeah,
that are over there that like
that's like in a vault of a church somewhere, and it's written in French.
The Vatican's probably got a bunch of shit too.
It's written in like old French,
real French, real Italian.
Yeah. The AI will fix it for us.
It's not like a Luigi. Am I offending enough people yet?
Yeah, you can still be openly racist because the Italians.
God,
they're like the last ones.
That's a shame because they have great food.
It's all right.
What? You're driving me nuts.
Yeah, I tend to like Middle Eastern cuisine, and
I do too.
And spicier stuff.
Yeah, my son is huge on Indian food, which I love Indian food too. But he'll go as soon as he sees me, we'll hug or whatever, and then he knows my son wants it spicy, my wife wants it like medium spicy, and then he looks at me and he says, American spicy, and I'm like, fuck, God damn it, you sing.
Yeah, that's the thing with Indian places. It's American spicy or Indian spicy.
Yep.
And they're like, "You sure?"
Yeah.
You say Indian spicy.
Because that's what he was impressed with my son.
Yeah.
Because La really did. He was like, "No, I want it like your spicy."
Yeah.
And he came back and Yasing asked him. He was like, "Well, how?" And he said, "I loved it. I want it again."
Yeah.
So
nice.
The boy impressed him.
Nice.
So
I'm still hitting up medium.
Yeah, I can't do. I would almost want it to be everything except for the chilies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it tastes so good.
Right.
Everything else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like that's the white half of me growing up with my Irish mother and boiled dinner and stuff like that. I'm not good with the spice.
Yeah.
But it's delicious.
I didn't grow up with spice, but I caught on early.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
you like Thai food too, so.
I do like Thai food. I used Thai red peppers this morning when I made steak and eggs for breakfast. I used Thai red peppers, onions. Yeah, saute that. I marinated it in a little. I use it. It's not soy sauce. It's like aminos. It's from Bragg's. I like it. Some fish sauce. I threw a little sesame oil on there. A little pinch of baking soda softens up the meat.
Really?
Yeah, just a tiny pinch, tiny pinch. Like I don't do. I'm trying to avoid carbs, so I didn't do the cornstarch. You can use cornstarch if you wanted that. You know how Chinese food's like. I avoid it. Yeah. But if you don't mind it, use it, and it makes it that texture, that slime.
Yeah, the slurry.
Yeah. Saute that up. That's what me and the kid had for breakfast.
Come on. You know I know about cornstarch, buddy.
I'm 40% corn.
Fuck yeah. I'm 43. I grew up with fucking high fructose corn syrup, sucker.
Am I diabetic? Yes.
You know what? That was okay. I am diabetic, but check this out. So when I came back to the res, I was 21, and I had been gone. We left when I was 4. Came back when I was 21. So I went to, this was one of the, and I know this sounds so fucking stupid, but it kind of actually my father and my grandpa and stuff, they were explaining how diabetes is so prevalent within, Native people. And my father had it pretty bad. And So I went to the doctor's one time, and I was like, I don't know, 23, something like that. And the doctor didn't know me. I'd never seen him before. He goes, "Are you Native American?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, that's what I thought. You have diabetes." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm really Native."
Oh God,
And fucking, I was like, "Oh God, I gotta settle down."
that's the worst part.
I didn't actually cheer, but I was
Yeah.
like, "Holy shit! I guess that
Yeah.
I'm starting. My nativeness is starting to show through. I got sugar now."
Fortunately, I got the good part of the weight.
Yeah. See, well, I got the height.
Yeah.
That's good, but I got pale skin. But at least I can grow some facial hair too. You should have seen my dad's facial hair. He had like a scraggle here.
Yeah.
Scraggle hair. Although I couldn't grow facial hair until I was like about 25.
Well, last year my A1C had me at pre-diabetic, and I cut 30, and then I took a blood test in the fall, and I was back to
Yeah.
good. So as long as I continue,
Yep.
and it's been a challenge after the New Year's.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge. I've not yet gone back to the hardcore where I was prior to Christmas break.
Yeah.
I made so many cookies.
Dude,
I was eating trays of cookies.
yo, those cookies you gave me were fucking killer.
It sucks when you cook good.
Yeah, man.
'Cause-
They were good. Yo, just make some more of them gingerbread cookies and hook me up.
God, I can't, because then I eat them. If they're there, like it was like January 4th, and I'm like, I'm not gonna eat any more carbs, and I still had cookies left, and nobody would take them, and so
I would've taken them.
my son wouldn't eat them, so I ate them all because I can't waste.
Is that the ones that you gave me?
Yeah.
Some of them?
Yeah.
I would have taken all of them for real.
Man.
I wasn't I was like,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure like if they would be good or not. And then I ate one and I was like, oh. So then I ate a couple, 3, put them on our kitchen island. And then the next morning they were all fucking gone.
Well, the trick to baking is to actually follow the directions.
Yeah, see, I'm only doing
My
that.
mother's like, how do you do it? It's like, I just follow the directions.
See, when I cook,
Exactly.
I don't like to follow
Baking's
directions.
not cooking.
Yeah, that's true.
Baking is science.
That's true.
Baking is chemistry.
Well, that would explain why I'm a dumb shit with it.
Yeah, baking's chemistry, and you can fuss with it if you become a good enough chemist.
Right.
But if you're not, stick to it, or else your blue glass isn't going to be as strong as Walter White's.
I was just fucking thinking that. I knew you were gonna do the Walter White. Fucking right.
Yeah.
Be making some. What the hell? What strain did Heisenberg make there? What the fuck they call it?
I don't remember what
I
they.
don't remember either.
Blue.
I gotta watch that show again.
It's a good show, Breaking
Great show.
Bad. And with that, we are Sage Against the Machine. Well, hopefully we'll be back with a guest next time you see us. Until then, what do you got going on? Anything?
I'm writing, but we're doing that, and I'm actually going to be doing an interview with another channel that's pretty well known, actually.
Very cool.
I can't really talk about it yet because it hasn't been cemented in, but it's pretty wild. Like, we need more people. Oh yeah, we do need to talk about that too. So we made our own YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
So we really need you guys to subscribe to the new YouTube channel, and then we'll have to figure out the other stuff, like
Eventually we'll migrate all of the Sage stuff over there.
yeah, and like get Sage its own stuff for like Apple, whatever. But like for now, like just understand that we did make a channel. Well, Josh did, and we're trying to get the subscribers up on that so we can upload longer than 15 minutes. But we're putting the effort in because we're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Algonquin College, January 22nd.
Josh is funny.
Go see the Aboriginal Outlaws because they're funny. And with Janelle Niles, Hezra Mokpulu, and Jen Hayward will be hosting.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, we're out.
All right.